crash happened, so the big financial crash happened around 2008. And that year I was mostly on tour abroad. I spent 2 months in Australia at the Adelaide Fringe Festival and around. And then I was 2 months in a German variety theatre show. And then I was 2 months in America. I went over there to work at the Box in New York. And during this time, a lot of the young burlesque girls had actually made a name for themselves. So when I came back to the country, burlesque was really a thing, you know, that it hadn't kind of quite been. And there was people that were very established. But I recognised that it didn't really reflect my performance anymore, and I didn't feel that I was a burlesque performer, and even neo-burlesque wasn't really enough of a definition to separate me from the vintage style of striptease performance that was known as burlesque. So I ceased to use the term burlesque in any of my marketing from 2008, and I also launched my space project, Empress Stah in Space, at that time. And I figured that it would damage my bookings in the short term, and possibly it did. You know, I didn't do a fan dance. I can happily say I've never wafted a feather fan on stage, or even off for that matter. And I'm still here, I'm still doing it. But I did suffer at the time through bookings. People really, really wanted burlesque, and they wanted it for a lot longer than I anticipated that they would want it for. You know, the cool kids were already bored and had moved on, but the suburbs were just catching wind of it. And then other countries, Italy and Switzerland and burlesque is still very prolific, and I still don't do it. But space is coming in to the forum. I knew there would be a kind of a trade-off period of time where I wasn't really in popular culture, where what I was doing wasn't. But then fortunately I was working at the Supper Club. So the Supper Club in Ladbroke Grove opened at the end of 2008 or the end of 2009. So I think 2009 was a bit of a weird year. And then I've been a resident at the Supper Club, where people dine on beds. It's a franchise now. It originated in Amsterdam maybe 25 years ago. The venues are all white. They have a mezzanine, one solid rows of beds around the outside. The clientele is really West London. It's very posh, you know, quite businessy suits. It's not a cheap night out, but it's a set menu, and you get your dinner maybe in a dog bowl, and the kind of wait staff are all dressed up, and they have VJ and DJs throughout the night. And then in the central space on the floor, acts will just appear. But you don't get introduced and you don't get outroed, and your name's not mentioned anywhere. So for the last 4 years, I've actually been working quite solidly at the Supper Club, but really off the grid. So I think people possibly are like, well, what's Empress Stah doing? She's not really performing Cabaret anymore, because I don't appear on Cabaret bills, but they don't pay enough to warrant my performance. So I don't do it. I love it.